Welcome to Inner Light. Today, we are diving into the art of reclaiming time and presence with George Rivera, entrepreneur, author, and father first advocate. George has built a system that helps founders escape the endless cortisol dopamine busy loop, reduce anxiety, and be fully present at home without sacrificing business growth. So, let's uncover how spiritual practices and practical strategies can align success with what truly matters. Welcome to the show, George. It's such an honor to have you.
Yes, thank you, Anya. I'm excited to be here.
hmm So, George, you often talk about the father first owner. So, how did watching your dad miss important moments inspire you to create this system?
Yeah, so that's a good question. So I can kind of start at the beginning. In here in the United States, middle school and high schools from grade 6 to grade 12. And so in those years of school, I played, basketball, baseball, some sports, and there were probably about 40 games total that I would have played in my career of high school and middle school. And I can only remember my dad making one of those games, and it was a little confusing for me as a kid because, I would score a basket or do a good play, and I look at the stands and it's empty stands, like nobody's cheering me. Of course, fans are cheering, but like no dad, yeah, that's my boy, And then I would see my friends and my teammates, they would score or do something good, and their father would stand up and cheer and clap, and that's my son. I'm so proud of you. And I remember looking at another father thinking, wow, I wish he was my dad. And that would have crushed my father knowing that I had that feeling, because my dad was not a bad man. He was a good man. He was a medical doctor, and he was at the top of his profession, very dedicated to his work, and I was proud of him for being a good doctor. But at the moments when I needed him most, he wasn't there, and so much so that I wished that I had another father, in his place. And so that was kind of the beginning of my experience realizing, presence and presence is so important. And, fast forward 20 years later in life, this is now 10 years ago, 2015, and he is diagnosed with cancer and only has 6 months to live. And he thought he was going to live a long time like his parents. And my grandparents, they passed away 2 years before this at the age of 95 years old. That's a good long life. And so my dad at 67 thought he had a long time ahead, but the cancer came upon him and he only had 6 months to live. But it was a beautiful 6 months because when you have an expiration date that you know is near, you can intentionally make the most of it and spend time with the people that you love. And one of the last words that he told me was, "Don't miss Leo's games. I miss too many of yours." And he said it exactly like that. And Leo is my son. At that time, he was about 10 months old. He was young. And it hit me in a couple of ways. First, it brought back the old memory of him missing my games. I thought that that was something suppressed that I will never think about again. And I never did until he said that. And then it's just the memory comes up and it's like, wow, emotions. And then, so that's one part. The other part is, oh my goodness, I'm repeating the mistake that he made. I'm becoming my father to my family, which means, absent and working hard, providing good, but, you're missing the moments, those first moments that you never get back, like my son taking his first steps or first words and things like that. And so he lovingly agitated inside of me that I was going with the wrong priorities. And so his biggest regret in life became my mission in life is to stop doing this. But at the time, I was like, okay, I agree and I want to do this, but how am I going to do this? Because I'm working 14-hour days, 16-hour days. And I think, oh, I'll just start tomorrow. And then the next day, I'll start tomorrow. And tomorrow never comes. And so fast forward 3 years, it's 2018. My business is doing 20 million or just under $20 million that year, making lots of money, thinking that I'm on top of the world. I've made it. That's when you make lots of money. That's when you're important and all that. And I was providing great for my family. I had a money printer. It felt like print and money comes out. That's how easy it felt. But I was hating life and hating my business because I was the bottleneck. I was where everything got stuck. I had 40 people working for me, but everybody's making me approve invoices and work on merchant processing and all these other things that are operational. And my expertise is in marketing. It's in copywriting, video sales letters, conversions, revenue optimization, recurring revenue, all the money making side of the business. And so the same brain cannot do marketing and operations well. You have to pick one or the other. And I was doing both. And that's why I was not enjoying life. And so I call my friend, I tell him my frustration. He calls me and he tells me, we need to remove you from doing the operation stuff and keep you doing the marketing stuff that you do very well. And that's going to reduce your time a lot because you are doing what you're best at and let somebody else do what they're best at. And they love to do that. You don't. So you have to be done with that. And so that phone call became the blueprint, the foundation for what I'm doing now. But fast forward 3 more years from 2018 to 21, I'm implementing these frameworks. And then the true transformation was in 2021 when the business more than doubled to just shy of $50 million. But my work time went down a lot. I was sometimes months without working, almost like semi retired. And when I would work, I wouldn't work ever more than 30 hours a week. It was very, very easy because I'm focused on only what I do best, and somebody else is doing the stuff I don't like to do. And so with that free time, I was able to go back into my family, be present for my son, attend all of his games. I was buying real estate, other businesses, starting new businesses. At the same time, I was teaching my son how to negotiate real estate transactions. And yeah, so life was very good. And over the last 3 or 4 years, I've had different people tell me, you need to teach this stuff. You need to share this with the world. And I'm thinking, I don't know. What am I going to teach? How to travel, how to do this? I just didn't know. And then over the last few months, the frameworks and the strategies of buying back time became really clear. So when you buy back time, you can use that time for whatever you want. So I'm family first, father first. So for me, I appeal to other men, cash rich, time poor founders who were me of 10 years ago to help them remove them from being the bottleneck to being present father with total freedom. And so that's my goal. And now I'm trying to spread that message to the world. And that's how we're here today.
Mm-hmm. That's amazing. So, do you think many entrepreneurs are unconsciously prioritizing business over life milestones?
Yes, I do believe that. And I don't think they're doing it on purpose. I don't think anybody says, oh, I want to hurt my family. I'm just going to work. Like, I don't think people say that. But, you start with the intention of wanting to give your family a good life, a good lifestyle, provide things that maybe you did not have when you were younger as a kid. And you say, I'm going to do things different. And so you start a business and you go all in on it. Then the business demands more from you. And then you feel like you're the only one that can do that work. And it takes recognizing that somebody else could probably do it 80%. So if I'm 100% and somebody can do it 80%, I think that's good. But you'll realize that that 80% can go to 120% and they do it better than you. And that's when you experience the true freedom. And I tell people, do this with one task and you're going to be addicted to it. You're going to want to do it to everything you can so that you remove yourself from doing the things you do not enjoy and you're only focused on the things that you do enjoy, but more importantly, you're present for your family and they get to have the best of you, not the leftovers. Like the leftovers means, you're working, 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 you're burned out, you're stressed, you're tired, you're not focused, and now you're with your family, but you're depleted of energy and focus, and you can't be yourself. So that's the goal, is to get them to quit doing the things they don't like, only do the things you like, and that will free up your time to be present with your family.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a profound lesson. Like, presence isn't a luxury, it's a responsibility we owe to ourselves and our families.
I agree. Yeah, and they're waiting. They're waiting for us as men to make the decision to be present for our family because we need to lead our family. And too many kids are growing up with the iPhone and the iPad in their face as their parent. And when you let your kid on the internet all by themselves, the world's gonna pour into them, and it's gonna be a lot of things that parents don't like, and it's hard to reverse that damage once it starts. So we want to be aware that um, your presence really matters a lot more than devices to raise your children.
Yes, absolutely. And entrepreneurs often feel stuck in the cortisol dopamine busy loop. So, what's the first step to breaking free?
Yeah, yeah, cortisol is the stress hormone, and dopamine is sort of like a pleasure feeling. And so I think that entrepreneurs, they sort of bounce between one or the other, and they never find the middle of being content. It's almost like we need the challenge. We need to feel like our back is against the wall. So that's where cortisol comes in, and it makes us perform. And then we achieve success. We're able to accomplish things, and then that's the dopamine of enjoyment, like we succeeded. And so that becomes our identity, like I'm a provider and I work hard, this is what I'm supposed to do. When in reality you need to retrain your mind that no, I need to be present with my family, that needs to be my priority, and I need to find more balance at work, on the work related things. And you do that by buying back your time, by implementing frameworks that free you up, so that you're no longer, trying to use stress as a motivator to work, nor trying to chase the dopamine, feel good feeling that a success produces. And so, first step is recognizing it, and then the next thing is to actually have a desire to change it, and then the next step is to actually implement the frameworks to change it. And yeah, that's what I teach.
That's great. And also, how do micro sabbats or stillness practices help in rewiring this cycle?
Yeah, that's great because yeah, so micro sabbaticals is good because it makes you get off of the screens, the devices, and completely what we say here off the grid, which means you're not plugged into electricity, you're just all natural, and you can be present with your family. And if you can schedule that in, because most people when they schedule a business meeting or a phone call, they make that, they're committed to it. But on family stuff, is very much like not committed. So you need to treat it very seriously and schedule that in. And when you do, you realize that you reduce the stress and you connect with your family. And once you see that that has a positive impact, you're going to want more of that. And so, yeah, I think the micro sabbatical is a great way to reduce stress and just be present with your family, and make the impact that you want to make, and realize it's not all about work. Work is important, but it doesn't have to be all of life. You need to be present with your family to be a good influence.
Yeah. And it's fascinating how small pauses can create massive shifts in focus, energy, and presence.
Hmm.
And
Absolutely.
you also emphasize delegating outcomes, not tasks. So, why is this distinction so critical for regaining time and reducing stress?
Yeah, it's so critical because whenever you delegate a task, you're essentially asking them to do something, but they never realize what the finished product looks like, or it's left to them to figure it out. But when you tell them this is what the outcome needs to be, the result, you allow them to find their own unique path to getting to that outcome. And sometimes they can make it even better than what you can make it. So what I recommend people do is record an instructional video, something like Loom, or put it on YouTube or something, and you outline, screen recording, you outline the steps and you show them this is how I do it, this is the end product, this is what it looks like, the end result. This should be your goal. Now, if you have a different way of doing it, then let me know what you would change. But you show them what the finished product looks like instead of simply saying, do this, but you never show them what the end result looks like. That's what creates frustration. And that's why things continue to come back up to the business owner, because it's up to the business owner to fix it, to correct it, because they never communicated it directly to begin with. So when you transfer ownership, that's one of the first steps to, buying your freedom, buying your time back.
Yeah, 100%. And are founders generally hesitant to let go of control? And how can they overcome that?
Yeah. I would say yes, they are, because I used to be that same way. I used to think nobody can do it as good as I can. And I mentioned a little bit earlier, but in my opinion and my philosophy is that if somebody can do it 80% of your 100%, that's good enough. But you will find that most of the times they will exceed your ability to do it and they will do it better than you can. So what I would recommend, if somebody is very much like, I need the control and this is just who I am, give them something that's not very important, just to give them a test, just to see. It could be just a pretend project you make up, but something to let them show you that they can do it. When you gain a little bit of confidence, then you give them something a little bit more important. And then as they do that, you will be addicted. You will be hooked on wanting to do this with everything, and getting your time back.
Yeah. And like that really reframes leadership. It's about trust and vision and not micromanaging minute.
Exactly.
hmm And your 10K per hour filter is intriguing. Like, how can entrepreneurs apply this mindset to prioritize work that truly matters?
Yeah, so 10K, that's $10,000 per hour, and usually it's USD is the currency that I'm speaking, and that just means the value per hour that most founders have. Now, if you hear that and you think that's kind of high, then just put it at $1,000 USD per hour, or if that's low, put it at $20,000 USD per hour. But the key is you need to identify what your time is worth as a founder and then compare it against all the other tasks that you're regularly doing. Can I get this done for less? And can it be done better than I can do it? So when I did this to myself, I realized I was doing a lot of $10 and $20 per hour tasks when I'm a $10,000 per hour founder. And that was one of the best ways for me to buy back my time, was to hire competent people, hand them the tasks, but not just tasks like we discussed, transfer ownership, show them how it's done, get it off my plate. And that's how I've been able to start, a seven-figure land business on the side, is by teaching that to my new team that I started. And now I might only work 1 hour a week in that new business, just answering questions sometimes, but I'm not the bottleneck. They can make offers and contracts, and I don't need to be in the way to approve things. So yeah, that's the 10K an hour filter. And again, that's just an example, but use a number that's comfortable for you. But you have to see, where are you spending your time and what your time is worth. And when you figure out that there's other people that can do the the things that your time shouldn't be spent on, and they can do it better than you can do it, you will be hooked to the process and you're going to want to do it for everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's amazing. Also, does this approach help in setting boundaries between work and home life?
Absolutely. So my goal is that every founder who comes through the program or buys the book and implements their strategies, the goal is for them to cap their working hours at 30 hours per week. Most founders that I know are doing well above 40, maybe 50, 60 hours. I was doing as high as 90 hours sometimes. So when you work 30 hours per week, that means it's a lighter work day. You've got plenty of time to incorporate personal time, because that's important too. Family time, because that's very important, and time for hobbies or starting another business, or only focusing on the very important things in your business that actually help it grow, and not just little things that might be important but you should not be doing them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, makes sense. And like that's practical wisdom. Time is the ultimate currency, and spending it intentionally changes everything.
Absolutely. Yeah, it sure does.
Mhm. And finally, for fathers and founders trying to be fully present, what daily or weekly habit can transform both family life and business?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think just starting to, either delegate, eliminate, or automate, in no particular order, but starting to see what it is that you're doing and then figure out which of the three things to apply to it. So delegate, we already discussed, transferring proper ownership. Eliminate is, does it something that even needs to exist? Sometimes business owners, we only work because we're busy, and we want it as part of our identity. But sometimes there's things that we're doing that we could completely eliminate, that do not, move the needle. They don't bring in revenue, and we can just cut it out. And that's a simple way to do it. And then automate. With a lot of new AI tools now, there are a lot of things that we used to take time, very important things, that now AI can automate for you. For example, like attending meetings. Like if you're attending many, many, many meetings, you can have what's called an AI note taker join on your behalf and start taking notes for you, and then you have it look for things where your time needs to be paid attention to. But you'll find that a lot of these meetings you don't need to be on. And so if you have a note taker attend on your behalf, you can cut your meetings, and that's buying back hours per week right there. And so many more, but that's just one example. But yeah, back to the question. In order to set those boundaries, you need to figure out what it is that you do and apply elimination, automation, or delegation to those tasks, and that's how you get your time back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. And is there a mindset shift that underpins all these strategies? Like something that keeps the father first vision alive?
Yeah, the mindset. I'd say it's just that every child needs something from the father. Like if it's a boy, they need approval from the father. They need to be told that they can do anything essentially that they want to do, within reason. But like if they say that they want to, one day be a doctor or an astronaut or a scientist, they need encouragement, lovingly encouragement that yeah, you can do it. It's up to them to work hard to do it, but they need to know that the father believes that they can do it. Because if the father said, no, no, and they're negative or they're absent, which could be even worse, then it's up to the child to get the support from somewhere. And oftentimes it's going to be from the iPad or the iPhone and the dangers of the internet for a child that's not monitored is a scary thing. And so that's one of the benefits of being present. And then for a little girl, you know, the man needs to show the little girl how a man should act, how a man should speak, and how a man should treat a little girl who's going to one day be a young lady, who's going to one day, marry somebody, and they want to marry somebody that reflects like their father. So you want to let them have the wisdom and intelligence to know how a man should act, and that's you do that by example. And yeah, so it's just being present for the family. I would say is the big thing.
Mm-hmm. That's beautiful. And presence isn't just an action, it's the value that shapes every decision we make.
Yeah, I agree.
It's an aspiring conversation with George Rivera, showing that reclaiming time and calm isn't just possible, it's transformative. If today's insight resonated, take one small step this week to pause, delegate, or simply show up fully to those who matter most. Until next time, remember life is not measured in tasks completed, but moments fully lived.